Hey, how you guys doing? Hey, I used to be a professor at a university called Washburn University over in Topeka, Kansas, and I taught in a department called Family and Human Services Department. And one of the classes that I taught every semester was our introductory class to the field of human services. So it's basically a 101 class. You know, like if you were to take like an English 101 class, you get kind of the foundation of it and kind of learn the basics of it and get exposed to it a little bit. Same thing with this class that I taught. So we get a lot of, first year, first semester freshmen and a lot of students also that were exploratory. They weren't sure what they wanted to do, so they wanted to take this class, see if they could learn a little bit about it. And so, as part of that class, the major assignment that I had due at the end of the semester, that I presented to them at the beginning of the semester, and they're supposed to reflect on and think about it as we go along. The major assignment was my Ripple of Hope essay, and so at the end of the semester, the students had to write a reflection paper, an essay on how they would be a ripple of hope when they go out into the community and go out into the field of human services. Once they graduate and get their degree, how are they going to make a difference out in the world? And so, the idea behind that assignment was, oftentimes we think, on the individual level, as an individual, that what we're facing as a society in terms of like politically, the social narratives that happen, that take place, in particular all this woke bullshit that's going on. We think as an individual, man, like what are we even going to do about it? I'm one person. I can't make a difference. And in that thought process, we get overwhelmed, man, and we start to feel defeated, and we don't even take the first step and to making any kind of change at all. And so instead we sit on the sideline. So the idea behind this Ripple of Hope essay was to have students reflect on what they were going to do to make a difference in their career. And so I'm making this video here because I want to challenge you as well. I want to challenge you as well, and I want to ask you to look inside yourself. What have you been doing here? With the way things are politically, we're in a mess, man. We've been in a mess for a few years now, and I get a feeling that a lot of us, are, obviously upset about it, but I don't know if we're feeling defeated, or we're definitely feeling alone, and so oftentimes I think we've been sitting on the sideline. And what I mean by the sideline, obviously it means, we're not in a game, but I think also it means that we think that we're doing something by being online, like tweeting stuff or getting on Facebook and posting memes or commenting about stuff like that, getting into these internet arguments with people and be like, I got you, but really, man, that really ain't doing anything. That ain't really doing anything major at all. So I want to challenge you as I go over this assignment here, this Ripple of Hope assignment that I used to teach my students. I want to challenge you in the same way. What are you doing to inspire people? Are you out making a difference, trying to change what's going on in our lives, in our culture, politically, or are you? Like I said, sitting on the sideline, and I ain't blaming you or criticizing you. I get it, man. Like I just said, oftentimes we feel like, well, I'm one person. What can I do? I felt the same. I felt the same way, man. Up until last year when I was, I started my protest last July, and I said, when I started that protest, I'd sit out on that corner by myself, like I did for the first month. I was there by myself, and I would think a lot about that Ripple of Hope assignment that I would challenge my students to do, and I was sitting there challenging myself. Am I willing to do what I challenge my students to do? Am I willing to walk the walk if I'm talking the talk? Would I put my money where my mouth is? And the answer is yes, man. I went and sat out on that corner. And the cool thing about that, and I knew as this was happening, now it went slow, man. It went really slow, but I knew as that was happening that as people were driving by me, they were seeing me, and it would inspire them in some way to go out and do something. They saw me going and speaking at the city and county commission meetings and the school board meetings. It would inspire them to do something in their own way. which in turn, when they go do something, somebody else sees them doing something, and that inspires them, and then they go and do something, and on and on and on. We start to have a snowball effect or a rippling effect, and from one person it's rippled out, and now you got more and more people that are actively coming up off the sidelines and doing stuff by what we do with the example that we set. And so that's what this Ripple of Hope assignment is all about. And so how I came about developing this assignment is, years ago, early on in my education, I was influenced by a theorist who his name is Irvin Yalom, and he's an existential psychotherapist, and he wrote about this concept called rippling. And so for Yalom, as an existentialist, he focused heavily on death and our fear of death, or our death anxiety, and how that influences us in our day-to-day behaviors and stuff like that. And so for him, he liked this idea called rippling, and it's basically just what I was talking about there. Oftentimes we fear when we die that that's it, we've come to the end, and basically our legacy doesn't carry on. But with rippling, that's kind of the basics behind it, is that how do we keep our legacy living on after we're dead? And so on this, Yalom wrote about rippling in his book, Staring at the Sun, and this is what he wrote about. He said, "Rippling refers to the fact that each of us creates, often without our conscious intent or knowledge, concentric circles of influence that may affect others for years, even generations. That is, the effect we have on other people is in turn passed on to others, much as the ripples in a pond go on and on until they're no longer visible, but continuing at a nano level." So that's a great visual. So you drop a pebble into a still pond, and it ripples out, and it impacts other people that are dropping pebbles into the water as well, and they ripple, and they run into each other, and then they ripple out, and then they ripple out, and they ripple out, and it could go on and on forever. So for Yalom, long after we're dead and gone, our influence can still be seen and felt through other people based on what we did with our lives right now. So we had to get up off the sidelines and make a difference and influence other people. So I always liked that idea. I would work with my clients on that all the time as well, when I was a therapist. But also in my education, I came across a quote from Robert Kennedy that I combined into this Ripple of Hope essay assignment as well. And so back in the 60s, Robert Kennedy had this to say. He said, "Few will have the greatness to bend history itself, but each of us can work to change a small portion of events. It is from numberless diverse acts of courage and belief that human history is shaped. Each time a man stands up for an ideal, or acts to improve the lot of others, or strikes out against injustice, he sends forth a tiny ripple of hope, and crossing each other from a million different centers of energy and daring, those ripples build a current which can sweep down the mightiest walls of oppression and resistance." And so for me, these two quotes here are the solution to our feeling of being overwhelmed, of asking ourselves, how can I make a difference? I'm only one individual. The answers are right there. We go out and we do something, and by doing that, other people see it, and it inspires them to go out and do something, inspires somebody else to do something, and that inspires somebody else to do something. And before you know it, you got a whole movement going. You start to create sweeping changes. I think oftentimes, we're looking for, we got this like savior complex, or we think like politicians are going to do this stuff for us, man, and we'll, and they're just not going to do it. So we think these politicians are going to do it, and that kind of absolves our responsibility for our lack of courage, for our inactivity. We say, well, we'll just have a politician go and do it, and then I'll just go back to watching football every day, or watching whatever, keeping up with Kardashians or whatever. They'll go and do it, and I'll just sit here. I can't do anything about it anyways. I'm just one individual. No. These quotes here from Robert Kennedy and Irvin Yalom puts that responsibility back onto us. What are you doing in your life to inspire other people to create change in this world? What responsibility do you have for the mess that we're in right now by our inaction? And I'm not just saying it's you. I was the same way as well. But You stand up and you start doing something publicly, visibly, out there in the community, other people will see it. I think we have this tendency to think that we'll just do it online, and I believe that the powers that be want us online, man. They want us in our echo chambers because they know we ain't really reaching that many people by doing that stuff, by tweeting something here, by posting a meme there. And if we are reaching a lot of people, it's in our echo chamber, and basically we already have our views, and so you're not really changing anybody's mind. If you go out into public, man, there's no filter on that, so you get every side of the problem looking at you. So you get Democrats, Republicans, and everybody in between watching you, and you can change their minds by your actions, So again, what I hope to do in this video here is I want to challenge you all to look inside yourself and say, well, what can I do? Am I inspiring people? What role do I have to play in this? And you can come up your own creative ways to do it. For me, man, I went and I started a protest. I go and I speak at the meetings, the county, city commission meetings, the school board meetings, and now I'm running for office. Now I ain't saying you got to do all that. No, I ain't saying do all that. But do it in your own way. But do it. That's the thing. That you got to do it. You got to get up off the couch and you got to do it. You can't rely on somebody else to do it. You know what I mean? You got to take responsibility and do it yourself, and find the courage to do it. And I think the biggest thing the biggest benefit from that is we show people that they're not alone. That we're not alone. We watch the news and get online and see all the madness that's going on around us, and we start to maybe fall into despair and feel alone. But if we get out and we be visible and we start to make a change, then other people will be like, hey, this guy's doing something, this gal's doing something, I want to do something as well, or I want to join them and I want to do something. I'll inspire people, and then more and more people realize that we're not alone in all this, and the power of knowing it, that there's a group of people that are fighting for what we believe in. It can move mountains, man. It can definitely, certainly, without a doubt, move mountains. So again, I want to challenge you. What are you doing? What are you doing with your life in this battle that we're in right now, in this fight that we're in right now? Politically and socially, there's definitely a culture war that's going on right now, and the other side's done a really good job of silencing us by making us fearful that if we stand up, we're going to be called racists or homophobes or transphobes or Nazis or fascists, every word in the book, and that's silenced us. But we got to get over that fear, man. They're going to call us that no matter what. Whether you're sitting on the couch or standing on the corner, they're going to call you that no matter what. So you might as well stand on a corner, and be like, yeah, call me that, man. That's the way it is. You can call me whatever you want, man, but I'm going to show that that's not who I am. That's not who we are. I'm going to show you that. And so, again, look inside yourself. Figure out what you want to do. Go out and inspire people, and in the process, man, you'll find a lot of meaning in your life as well. And you can be feeling a lot better about yourself as well, and about the situation that we're in right now. You might not be despairing. So, don't ever give up, man. Don't ever quit. Don't ever think that the fight is over. Don't ever think that there's not other people out there that think like you. Don't despair. Keep fighting and get out there and make a difference. All right, I appreciate you checking out my video. We'll talk to you guys later.